Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's Voice of the World. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. Central Beirut hit as Israel vows very strong response to Iran. Many countries push for citizen evacuation and rising tensions in West Asia. Thousands in North Carolina are still without water and power. Days after Helene's destruction, Biden and Harris visit Hurricane Helene sites. Indian state of Bihar battles worsening floods affecting nearly 1.5 million people, while in neighbouring Nepal, the death toll climbs to 233. India's Prime Minister Internship scheme to go live today to provide internship opportunities in 500 top companies to 1 crore youth in 5 years. Hindu festival of Navratri begins amid religious fervour in different parts of the country. Israel launched overnight airstrikes in central Beirut, targeting a health center linked to Hezbollah. At least 6 people were killed and 7 were wounded in the attack. The Israeli military says the operation was precise and targeted, with strikes also hitting Hezbollah strongholds in southern Lebanon. This comes after Iran fired over 180 missiles into Israel, sparking widespread condemnation and a robust response from Tel Aviv. The Israeli military has issued evacuation orders for multiple areas, warning of future strikes against Hezbollah interests and facilities. Concerns over escalating tensions in West Asia have sparked global airline disruptions. Multiple international airlines have suspended flights to the region or altered routes to avoid affected airspace. Indian flag carrier Air India has suspended flights to and from Tel Aviv until further notice. The Algerian airline Air Algeria suspended flights to and from Lebanon until further notice. Latvia's Air Baltic cancelled flights to and from Tel Aviv until October 31st. The Spanish airline Air Europa cancelled flights to Tel Aviv until October 7th. Air France on September 30th suspended Paris to Tel Aviv and Paris to Beirut flights until October 8th. And UAE's Emirates cancelled flights between Dubai and Beirut until 8th of October. Amidst heightened tension between Iran and Israel on the Gaza Strip and also Lebanon, efforts for stopping the conflict turning into a regional war has started. Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, has said that he will continue initiatives for peace. G7, India and Russia too have called for restraint and engage into talks by all concerned parties. Let's take a look at this report by DD India's Akhilesh Suman.
A day after Iran launched about 200 missiles targeting Israel, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian landed in Qatar to consult and consolidate support in West Asia. He met the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and said that Tehran does not look for war.
We are not looking for war. It is Israel that forces us to react. Israel assassinated our guest in Tehran on the presidential inauguration day. What we want from US and European countries is to tell the entity they have planted in the region to stop the bloodshed.
Pezeshkian is considered a liberal among the Irani politicians and is keen to have good relations with the West. He urged the United States and the European countries to dwell upon Israel from destabilizing the region. Emir of Qatar is playing a role of the mediator between Hamas and Israel. He said that Doha would continue its mediation efforts to end the war. He also reiterated the need for a two-state solution for permanent peace in the region.
We reiterate that the two-state solution and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state on the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital is the key to achieve a durable and lasting peace in the region.
Meanwhile, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni held an emergency meeting of the G7 nations on Wednesday, and leaders in a statement said that a region wide conflict is in no one's interest and that
Majesty,
a
King
diplomatic
Abdullah,
solution is still
Your
possible.
Excellency.
US
US
President Joe
President Joe
Biden
Biden
also
has been
urged
urging
Israel
fellow
to act
leaders to push
proportionally
Hamas to
against its
accept a
regional
Washington-backed
arch foe.
ceasefire.
On Wednesday, Biden also said that he would not support any Israeli strike on Iran's nuclear sites in response to the ballistic missile attack.
We'll be discussing with the Israelis what they're going to do, but all seven of us agree that they have a right to respond, but they should respond in proportion.
India has also urged all concerned parties to maintain restraint and has pushed for diplomatic efforts to end the war. Akhilesh Suman's report for DD India.
Ahead of the first anniversary of the October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel, the country's ambassador to India, Reuven Azar, said that the attack has strengthened Israel's resolve to neutralize the Hamas threat.
We were surprised on the 7th of October, and the nature of these atrocious attacks that included rape and burning and killing of entire families and killing of children in front of their fathers and hostages that were taken. This shocked us on the one hand, but on the other hand, it made us very, very determined to fight the terrorists, very determined to neutralize the Hamas threat. And our government was very clear about that. So we have seen that Israel's society raised up to the cause. And we are fighting the terrorists, and we are sure we are going to prevail.
The Indian ambassador hailed the Israeli ambassador, in fact, hailed the Indian government's stance, particularly Prime Minister Narendra Modi's strong leadership against threats to humanity.
We are very encouraged by the approach of the Indian government, especially the approach of Prime Minister Modi. We are thankful for that. We think that we have to have leaders like him that have conviction, that are strong against this threat on humanity.
All right, our correspondent Akshay Dongre is joining us from the newsroom. Akshay, good afternoon. Get us more as to when we see the escalations in the West Asian region. Any word of caution, any advisory given in by the Indian government for the Indians residing there in the region?
Well, Preeti, yes, advisories were issued as far as the Indians in Iran are concerned, as well as Lebanon and Israel. However, not just the people who are living there, but also the government has said that all unnecessary travel to these regions should be avoided. The tensions are at an all-time high between Iran and Israel. We have seen that both of these sides have exchanged attacks as far as the Israeli attack on Hezbollah is concerned, and the ballistic missile attack that Iran carried out against Israel. The entire region remains on tender hooks. We have seen that Israel has not backed down from retaliating. They have just said that the place and the timing will be of their choice, and they will be retaliating. In fact, they have vowed to retaliate against the ballistic missile attack that was carried out by Iran. Now, the region remains at the brink of war. Today, we saw once again Israel carried out aerial bombing, and now this time from southern Beirut to the central part of the city, that is also the capital of the country. And now what is expected as far as this conflict is concerned remains quite uncertain, because after the statement that was given by the Israeli government that they will be retaliating, but at a later point of time, the entire region expected some kind of hope of peace, some kind of mediation by the great powers, especially the permanent fives of the United Nations Security Council. However, it seems that despite the warnings by the United Nations, despite the interventions of other countries like France, the United Kingdom, as well as the United States, of urging Israel to not step up the ante against the Iranian regime as far as retaliation is concerned, it's not going as per the advice of these countries, and Israel has once again carried out aerial bombings in the country, in Lebanon, and the ground invasion, the ground assault that is being carried out, is forwarding. A lot of Israeli soldiers have also lost their lives according to the Israeli data. So it seems that there is no end to this conflict anytime soon, because while we were hoping that there will be some kind of intervention after the region was almost at the brink of war, when after the Iranian regime resorted to missile fire, still if Israel is carrying out these aerial bombing, that the situation is clear that there will be no peace in near future as far as end to this conflict is concerned, as far as ceasefire is concerned. Back to you.
All right, Akshay, now talking of Israel, now with Hezbollah on one side, Hamas on one side, Israel seems to be stuck in, say, devil and deep sea. But then what options does really Israel have? How is it placed? Because we saw, can we say that we did really see this escalation coming, given the way the pager attacks took place, given the way, Hezbollah leader Nasrallah was assassinated, also Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh, he was killed. So put all this together, did we really see this coming? And added to that, where is and how is Israel positioned?
Well, we definitely saw it coming, Preeti, especially after the assassination of the Hamas chief. Then we saw Iranian commander
Yes.
was also killed by the Israeli agencies, and then in the end it was Hassan Nasrallah, the chief of Hezbollah, that was killed by aerial bombings at the Hezbollah headquarters in Lebanon. So clearly the world was expecting an escalation, even though the escalation came a bit later than expected, because the kind of testing that Israel was doing as far as patience of Iran was concerned, by attacking Hezbollah through pager attacks, through walkie-talkies, and even the aerial bombing that killed Hassan Nasrallah. One thing had become certain, that the Iranian regime cannot let all of these attacks go unanswered, because that was putting a big question mark on the credibility of the Iranian leadership as well, especially the supreme leader of Iran. He was being questioned by the Iranian public, by neighboring countries as well. So yes, we saw this escalation coming. Though the escalation, when it came, it appeared like a war, all-out war breaking out between Israel and Iran. But then some better sense prevailed. Iran said that another attack will be carried out if there is a retaliation. Israel said that a retaliation will take place, but at a later point of time. So that gave the region some time to at least balance itself. However, how long will this lull continue is a big question, and that remains to be seen, that whether the big powers across the world will try and force some mediation between these warring factions in the West Asian region. But from given the past years' experience, Israel is carrying out whatever it has aimed for, as far as the attacks against Hezbollah, Hamas, the attacks in Lebanon, and even threatening Iran with attacks at a later point of time. So yes, we did saw it coming. We did see it coming, but as far as the future of the conflict is concerned, it remains uncertain. And while countries like France and the UK have said that if there is an attack on Iran by Israel, they will not be supporting Israel, that has come out as a big statement coming in from two of the permanent 5 members of United Nations Security Council. So whether that will have any impact on Israel or not, that remains to be seen. But till the time United States is supporting Israel as far as their military operations are concerned, stockpiling ammunition and missiles for them, Israel doesn't have to worry as far as the neighbors are concerned, because technologically they remain far more superior than its adversaries in the region.
All right, Akshay, also then how do you gauge the future course of, developments in the West Asian region? And added to that, what role could the big powers, the Western powers play here? Because we've seen that continuous demands, continuous requests for a ceasefire have been falling on deaf ears. But then how do we, how do you perceive the situation to move from here on?
Well, quite honestly, Preeti, we don't know where the conflict will go from here, because it has been quite uncertain. The kind of attacks that have been carried out, especially the pager attacks and the walkie-talkie attacks, they have been unprecedented as far as warfares are concerned. Israel has been using some of the best military tactics as far as attacking its adversaries are concerned. It has been preparing, it has prepared for years and years. It has always, said that there is a threat coming in from all corners of West Asia, to the existence of the country, and they will fight for the survival. We clearly do not know that where the conflict can go from here, but it all depends on the actions of these countries, both Iran and Israel. And as far as today's developments are concerned, with Israel continuing with aerial bombings, the region can once again very quickly see another flare-up happening.
All right, Akshay, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. So that was our correspondent Akshay Dongre helping us understand more on the West Asia and the crisis there, the escalations there. Up next, we're heading for a short break. You're watching DD Indian News Hour. But after the break, Typhoon Krathon wreaks havoc as it makes a landfall in Taiwan. Former Singapore Minister S. Iswaran jailed for 12 months for obstructing justice and receiving valuable gifts. 6 people reported dead after an electric fire sparks in a hospital in southern Taiwan.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News. Let's get to updates from Russia-Ukraine crisis now. At least 12 people were injured after a Russian-guided bomb struck a high-rise apartment block in Ukraine's Kharkiv late on Wednesday. In the overnight drone strike on 15 Ukrainian regions, several commercial and residential buildings were damaged. Power lines have also been damaged in 3 Ukrainian regions. Ukraine claims it shot down 78 out of 105 drones. Rescue operations are underway in search for those trapped amidst the rubble. In light of the ongoing attacks, President Zelensky emphasized on the need for increased assistance from Ukraine's Western allies. The Russian Defense Forces on Wednesday claimed control of Verkhny Kamenskoye settlement in the Donetsk region. Russian military shot down 32 Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles and targeted Ukrainian military personnel and weapons in the area. Typhoon Krathon has killed at least 2 and injured more than 100 as it makes landfall in Taiwan on Thursday. Strong winds and torrential rain slammed Taiwan's Kaohsiung. Over 10,000 people have been evacuated and the government has urged residents to remain indoors. Winds with speed of 220 kilometers per hour were unleashed on the island, disrupting traffic. Domestic and international flights have been cancelled for the second consecutive day, and schools and offices along with financial markets also remain shut. Krathon made landfall as a much weaker Category 1 typhoon. Six days after Hurricane Helene slammed into Florida, it carved a destructive path through much of the U.S. Southeast, killing more than 160 people. United States President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris also visited South Carolina on Wednesday to assess the damage caused by Hurricane Helene.
President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris visited South Carolina, North Carolina and Georgia on Wednesday to see firsthand the devastation brought in the U.S. Southeast by Hurricane Helene, which has killed at least 160 people. Earlier this week, Trump visited Georgia. Presidents and presidential candidates usually do not visit a storm-hit region immediately because of fears they will distract from rescue efforts and divert resources from local law enforcement officials and emergency responders. But the poll season has altered the matrix. More importantly so for the candidates and the political parties, North Carolina and Georgia are among 7 key battleground states in the November 5th election, which is expected to be won by thin margins. Biden landed in Greer, South Carolina, before boarding Marine One for an aerial tour of the region. From the helicopter, Biden could see the grim devastation brought to parts of North Carolina, including Asheville and Chimney Rock. Many of the people living in the area remained cut off from contact with the outside world, even as the U.S. president passed overhead. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris visited Augusta, Georgia, to meet with victims and announce federal funds to cover local costs following the storm.
The President and I have been paying close attention from the beginning to what we need to do to make sure the federal resources hit the ground as quickly as possible. And that includes what was necessary to make sure that we provided direct federal assistance.
Former President Donald Trump, a Republican running against Harris in this year's presidential election, has falsely claimed that Biden, a Democrat, has been unresponsive to the hurricane's destruction, an allegation local officials deny.
In a moment like this, we put politics aside. At least we should put it all aside, and we have here. There are no Democrats or Republicans, only Americans. And our job is to help as many people as we can, as quickly as we can, and as thoroughly as we can.
Before leaving Washington, Biden directed up to 1,000 active duty troops to help with response and recovery efforts. Almost 6,000 members of the National Guard are deployed across the 6 states affected by the storm. Biden will head to Georgia and Florida on Thursday. Harris will travel to North Carolina in the coming days. Hurricane Helene slammed into Florida on Thursday as a powerful Category 4 hurricane before tearing a destructive path through southeastern states for several days. Bureau Report, DD India.
In Nepal, the death toll from the recent floods and landslides has reached 233, while 22 others are still missing. At least 169 people were injured in the disaster. According to the Home Ministry, 17,120 people have been rescued so far from the flood and landslide affected areas. The government has given high priority to rescue and relief efforts and is working to repair the disaster-hit highways and operate the means of transport by creating temporary bridges on destroyed bridges due to floods. While in India, Air Force helicopters conducted relief operation in flood-affected Bihar's Darbhanga. The district administration too delivered relief materials to the affected people. Due to water logging in schools, 107 government schools have been asked to remain closed till further orders. However, it is a matter of relief that there is slight decline in the water level of Kamla, Balan and Kosi rivers. The flood level in the village has also decreased during the past 2 days. National and state disaster forces teams are also deployed in relief and rescue operations. Assisting them are the NDRF and district administration, coordinating efforts to ensure that relief materials are efficiently delivered to those in need. Up next, we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. In the first instance, a Singapore court has convicted a former cabinet minister to jail sentence on Thursday. Former Minister S. Iswaran has been given a 12-month jail punishment for obstructing justice and receiving valuable gifts. The minister had pleaded guilty to the allegations last week. A World War II bomb exploded at the runway of Miyazaki Airport in Japan on Wednesday, alerting the authorities. No injuries or damage to any aircraft were reported. The explosion had caused cancellation of flights, which resumed on Thursday. In a tragic accident, at least 9 people have been reported dead after a fire tore through a hospital in southern Taiwan. The incident happened while Health Ministry was evacuating patients due to Typhoon Krathon. Aiming to stabilize the economy, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe processed the devaluation of its gold-backed currency, ZiG, that is Zimbabwe gold, by 40%. President Emerson Mnangagwa hailed the move, terming it an important step for domestic stabilization. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's monthly radio program Mann Ki Baat completes 10 years. As it crosses a milestone of a decade, the program continues to inspire, educate and empower millions. Watch this special report by DD India's Tripti Tripathi.
मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, नमस्कार।
Since its inception in October 2014, Mann Ki Baat has become a defining platform for direct communication between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the people of India.
बेंगलुरु से सिस्टर सुरेखा जी भी जुड़ी हुई है।
I am really proud and honored, sir, to speak to Prime Minister of our country.
दिनेश जी नमस्कार।
सर जी प्रणाम।
The journey that started on the festival of Vijayadashmi has changed millions of lives. And since then, every month, millions of listeners tune in to hear Prime Minister's thoughts, ideas and inspirations that touches on a wide range of topics from rural development and social issues to stories of unsung heroes. Broadcast on Doordarshan and All India Radio, Mann Ki Baat has become more than just a radio program in last 10 years. Whatever work is taking place in the society with a sense of collectiveness, it gets recognition through this radio program.
मन की बात के श्रोता ही इस कार्यक्रम के असली सूत्रधार हैं। मन की बात की 10 वर्ष की यात्रा ने एक ऐसी माला तैयार की है जिसमें हर एपिसोड के साथ नई गाथाएं, नए कीर्तिमान, नए व्यक्तित्व जुड़ जाते हैं।
What started as a simple radio program has now become a radio revolution. Mann Ki Baat reaches the nation in 22 local languages, 29 dialects, and even 12 foreign languages. Inspirational stories have been mentioned over 750 times, cleanliness campaigns around 65 times, women empowerment around 315 times. In April 2023, when the radio program completed its 100th episode, Prime Minister Modi said that any issue which is associated with the show turns into a mass movement.
मेरे लिए मन की बात ये एक कार्यक्रम नहीं है। मेरे लिए एक आस्था, पूजा, व्रत है।
The journey of Mann Ki Baat reflects India's progress and diversity, fostering a sense of unity and collective purpose. Tripti Tripathi's report for DD India.
You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, SP Dharkar takes over as the new Vice Chief of Air Staff. Nagaland gears up for Silver Jubilee Hornbill Festival 2024.
India is one of the countries most affected by the impacts of climate change. So what can be the solution, and can children become a part of the solution?
We show a picture of the amla berry, for example, and discuss their nutritional value. In this way, they begin to understand the value of different fruits and vegetables, and that's when they realize why it's important to eat these things.
If we convert this 120 million ton that we see into biochar, we see about roughly about 350 million tons of CO2 emission reduction.
We can cultivate and use in a responsible way, and maybe how small-scale community enterprises could start to use it as a way to support their local economy.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. Central Beirut hit as Israel vows very strong response to Iran. Many countries push for citizen evacuations amid rising tensions in West Asia. Indian state Bihar battles worsening floods affecting nearly 1.5 million people, while in neighbouring Nepal, death toll climbs to 233. India's PM Internship scheme to go live today to provide internship opportunities in 500 top companies to 1 crore youth in 5 years. And now we get to updates from the world of business. Yes, the government will launch a comprehensive scheme today for providing internship opportunities in top companies. While presenting the Union Budget 2024-25 in Parliament on July 23rd, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced that the scheme will provide internship opportunities in 500 top companies to 1 crore youth in 5 years. It is aimed at enhancing youth employability and skills. Candidates must be between 21 and 24 years of age. Beneficiaries will get 12 months of exposure to real-life business environment. Will also experience varied professions and employment opportunities. Internship allowance of 5,000 rupees per month would be given. One-time assistance of 6,000 rupees to the youth will also be provided. Companies are expected to bear the training cost and 10% of the internship cost from their CSR funds. Average daily transactions on India's Unified Payments Interface, or the UPI, surged over 8-fold this year since the pandemic. It rose from 60 million in September 2020 to over 500 million by September 2024. According to the National Payments Corporation of India, in September 2024 alone, UPI processed 15.04 billion transactions valued at 20.64 trillion rupees. The platform's growth is matched by a steady rise in the number of participating banks. U.S. President Joe Biden urged U.S. port owners on Wednesday to resolve the strike involving 45,000 dock workers that have disrupted the shipment at East Coast and also Gulf Coast ports. A strike by 45,000 dock workers halting shipments at the U.S. East Coast and Gulf Coast ports entered its second day on Wednesday with no negotiations currently scheduled between the two sides. The lack of progress is raising concerns among those reliant on shipments that the disruption could be prolonged. The International Longshoremen's Association union strike has blocked goods from food to automobile shipments across dozens of ports from Maine to Texas, which analysts warn will cost the economy billions of dollars a day.
There's a consortium of basically 6 owners that control all the ports from all the way to the East Coast down around the Gulf, and they've made incredible profits, over 800% profit since the pandemic, and the owners are making tens of millions of dollars from this. The last thing they need is to profit off of this. It's time for them to sit at the table and get this strike done.
Getting you all the market action now. The S&P 500 ended little changed on Wednesday, with technology shares gaining, but investors nervous about West Asia tensions and more U.S. labor data due this week. Data released earlier on Wednesday showed U.S. private payrolls increased more than expected in September, further evidence that the labor market is not deteriorating. Investors remain focused on September non-farm payroll data that was due on Friday. The S&P 500 gained 0.014%, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.08%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.09%. The market ended September with strong gains over Fed's kicked off its monetary policy easing cycle with an unusual 50 basis point rate cut to shore up the job market. Japanese stocks jumped and the yen fell on Thursday as the risk of further tightening in monetary policy this year faded. Elsewhere in Asia, China's mainland markets are closed for a holiday, but Hong Kong's Hang Seng lost 2.5%, having soared 6.2% a day earlier. The benchmark is still up a staggering 30% in just 3 weeks after China announced a barrage of stimulus measures to revive a faltering economy. Also, the euro was suffering significant losses as markets increased their bets that the European Central Bank will lower rates at each of its meetings between October and December, following top policy hawk Isabel Schnabel's statement that she expects inflation to return to the target. All right, getting other updates now. India's President Draupadi Murmu addressed in Udaipur. Speaking on this occasion, the president was all praises for the performance of girl students who have done better than the boys.
मैंने देखा है कि हमारे बेटियां सभी क्षेत्रों में श्रेष्ठ प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं। मेरे संज्ञान में आया है कि आज पदक प्राप्त करने वाले विद्यार्थियों में छात्राओं की संख्या छात्रों से अधिक है। ये बहुत खुशी की बात है कि मैं पदक जीतने वाले सभी छात्राओं की विशेष बधाई देती हूँ।
Let's take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. The Indo-Pacific Regional Dialogue 2024 began in New Delhi. The theme of the conference is Resource, Geopolitics and Security in the Indo-Pacific. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will also address the conference, which will close on 5th of October. Air Marshal of Indian Air Force SP Dharkar received Guard of Honour at the National War Memorial in New Delhi on Thursday. Before this, he also laid a wreath at the memorial. He has taken over as the next Vice Chief of Air Staff. India's Central Drug Standard Control Organization of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has become affiliate member of the International Medical Device Regulators Forum. The membership will strengthen its medical device regulatory system while helping to meet emerging technical challenges. In one of the biggest cocaine hauls in recent times, the Delhi police busted an international drug syndicate, seizing more than 560 kilograms of cocaine. 4 people have been arrested in connection with the case, revealing links to a Dubai-based businessman. Nagaland's Department of Tourism has started preparations with full swing to celebrate the Silver Jubilee of the Hornbill Festival, which is scheduled from December 1st to December 10th at the Kisama Heritage Village of Nagaland. Preparations for the Hindu festival of Durga Puja have begun throughout the country. Durga Puja celebrates the Hindu goddess of power, Durga, and her victory over the evil Mahishasura. DD India's correspondent Jayant Das gets us more.
Lush kashful or wild sugarcane grass swaying in the breeze. Clear skies still waiting for the haze of the winter to settle in. The signs are in the air, loud and clear. Autumn is here and so are the preparations to invoke and worship the Indian goddess Durga. In fact, arrangements begin months before the festival to craft and install the Durga idols at the venues. Yes, it is the time of the year which Indians all over the world, especially the Bengalis, celebrate as Durga Puja. Durga Puja is celebrated by Hindus to commemorate and celebrate the victory of good over evil. This festival marks the intense battle between goddess of power Durga against the ferocious demon Mahishasur. In the Hindu scriptures, goddess Durga is said to have fought Mahishasur for 10 days, which finally ended in her triumph. While this festival is celebrated by Hindus in India and beyond, it was in 2021 when Durga Puja gained an unprecedented global recognition. It was in this year Durga Puja was inscribed on UNESCO's representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. It is notable to mention that it is the first festival in all of Asia to gain such an illustrious tag. And why not? Durga Puja is a perfect blend of human effort, art, culture and religion.
It is a festival which gives the harmony and all society. Not only the Bengalis, only devotees are coming here, on all non-Bengalis, even some other community people also, they are visiting from several years also.
Besides a time of worship and rituals, Durga Puja is also a time of gathering of friends and families. This festival transcends the edges of India and Hindus all over the world come together to celebrate in joy and bliss.
Durga Puja is a festival where people from all corners of life come together and pray for strength and the well-being of their families and friends. May this auspicious festive season be full of prosperity and happiness for you all. With camera person Ashish Sharma, this is Jayant Das, reporting for DD India.
Hindus are also celebrating the festival of Navratri, where devotees are flocking various temples to offer prayers, witnessing the traditional Aarti. The day marks the beginning of the 9-day festival dedicated to worship of Goddess Durga. Throughout India, Navratri celebrations involve the worship of 9 forms of Goddess over 9 days, with rituals including Garba, Aarti, decorations, recitals and the chanting of scriptures. The festival will culminate with the celebration of Dussehra on October 12th. On the first day of Sharadiya Navratri, devotees gathered at the Mumba Devi temple in Mumbai for a vibrant Aarti ceremony. Devotees were seen standing up in queues to offer their prayers to Ma Durga on the first day of Navratri. Temples across the country will see a surge of devotees to celebrate the fest for the upcoming 9 days. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has extended his warm wishes to the people on the occasion of Navratri. Prime Minister Modi took to social media platform X. He said, and I quote him, "Best wishes to all the countrymen for Navratri. We wish that this holy festival dedicated to worshipping Shakti proves auspicious for everyone. Hail Mother Goddess." Wetlands are called the kidneys of the landscape and provide a rich food chain which makes them a biological supermarket. They purify water, protect shorelines and recharge groundwater. However, 35% of world's wetlands is lost in the last 50 years and we need to take steps to protect them. The 12th CMS Vatavaran International Film Festival on Environment and Wildlife takes stock and celebrates wetlands for our common future. DD India's Anil Thomas has the details.
The first week of October is celebrated as the World Wildlife Week. Wildlife and wetlands are two sides of the same coin. The 12th CMS Vatavaran International Film Festival and Forum on Environment and Wildlife with the theme Wetlands for Life deliberates on celebrating wetland for a common future.
We are also celebrating Wildlife Week. So this coincidence is valuable because wetlands are not only connected to us, but wetlands are connected to the wildlife.
The film festival focuses on steps taken to safeguard and create awareness about the dangers of losing wetlands and its impact on climate change.
35% of the world's wetlands have been lost in the last 50 years. India's wetlands too are under significant pressure from the human activities. Yet these obstacles can be overcome. Together as a nation, we have the power and responsibility to rise to the occasion.
The festival was launched on World Wetlands Day in February this year in Madhya Pradesh, followed by events in Lucknow and Shimla. The finale in Delhi has over 2,705 participants.
In the 12th edition, we got 800 films from 70 countries and 21 states of India. All these films were reviewed in a 3-tier process. First process was done by CMS and the second, 60 were shortlisted and given to the nomination. And the nominated films were then again given to another panel of experts who looked at and gave some awards. All the nominated films will be shown at the festival.
Wetlands are more than just swamps. They are vibrant ecosystem that support diverse life and livelihoods.
I'm very happy with the progress, especially this project is one of our long-standing cooperation. It's part of the Green and Sustainable Development Partnership between India and Germany, and this is extremely important for us.
A painting competition was held alongside the film festival. School children and youth participate to gain real-life experience.
The idea behind is just to sensitize the students towards the environment, towards the wetland, forest, like how can we conserve our forests, because they have chapters related to forests, related to climate change, and how can we find out the solutions for the same.
India is home to over 7,57,000 diverse wetlands covering 15.3 million hectares. This Wetlands for Life festival showcases remarkable films and discussions on Indian wetlands, highlighting their biodiversity, ecosystem services, and conservation efforts. Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, the ICC Women's T20 World Cup all set to begin with Bangladesh versus Scotland as the first fixture. Lille ends Real Madrid's 36-game long unbeaten run, earning a 1-0 home victory. Tokyo devises a new, unique solution to nature's fury like typhoons and raids. Stay with us to know more.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's take a look at updates from the world of sports now. The 9th edition of the T20 Women's Cricket World Cup is all set to kickstart from 3rd of October with 10 teams competing across 23 matches for the coveted title. The T20 World Cup will be hosted by Dubai and Sharjah. Let's take a look at this pre-match preview that tells you all about India's form and more.
With an eye on Maiden World T20 trophy, Indian women's cricket team is all set for the 9th edition of the ICC T20 World Cup starting on October 3 in UAE. Led by Harmanpreet Kaur, the Indian team boasts of star players in their lineup, Smriti Mandhana, Jemimah Rodriguez and Renuka Thakur along others, adding to the firepower. India has seen a rather quiet build-up with no international matches for nearly 2 months before the showpiece event. The national team was last in action in the T20 Asia Cup final against Sri Lanka, but lost the marquee clash largely due to poor fielding and struggles against Spain. India arrived at its 15-member squad after months of significant tinkering. This involved workload management, motivated rotations, and trial and error with players of promise based on current form. The major problem for Indian women's team is that they have been unable to cross the final hurdle, be it the 2017 50-over World Cup or 2020 T20 World Cup final or 2022 Commonwealth Games final. Grouped alongside the White Ferns, defending champions Australia, reigning Asia Cup champion Sri Lanka and Pakistan, India will start their campaign under the lights on October 4 against New Zealand in Dubai. They then take on arch rivals Pakistan on October 6. They play Sri Lanka on October 9, while they last face Australia on October 13. India have participated in all 8 editions of the T20 World Cup but have never won the title. In 2009 and 2010, India was ousted in the semi-finals, while in 2012, 2014 and 2016, India could not go past the first round. In 2018 and 2023, India reached the semi-finals but could not go through to the final, and in 2020, India lost in the final. The women in blue have been among the better teams in recent times, but they are yet to lay their hands on the trophy. With tough competition ahead of them, India is set to go for glory and would want to clinch their maiden World Cup title. The wound of their semi-final exit in the 2023 edition is still fresh, and this year's tournament presents the perfect opportunity for retribution. If India can maintain composure and execute their plans effectively, this could finally be their year to lift the coveted T20 World Cup trophy. Sports Desk, DD India.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrote a letter to Olympic medalist Neeraj Chopra's mother, Saroj Devi, thanking her for the special delicacy, churma, he received a day before the 9-day Navratri festival. Prime Minister Modi noted that just as her special delicacy provides Neeraj with the energy to win medals for the country, they will now also empower him during the 9-day fasting period to serve the nation. In his letter, the Prime Minister reflected that the heartfelt gift from Neeraj's mother reminded him of his own mother. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Modi had met javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra during the dinner organized on the occasion of Jamaican Prime Minister's visit to India. Indian hockey star P.R. Srijesh has now decided to officially end his playing career and withdraw from the upcoming Hockey India League player auction, making way for youngsters and focusing on coaching and mentorship roles instead. Srijesh said that he had written to Hockey India indicating his desire to step away from the field and groom the next generation of players. Srijesh has already been given charge of the junior Indian men's team, pending final approval from SAI and the Sports Ministry. He will be associated with one of the franchises in the upcoming league as its brand ambassador. Interestingly, the clearance from the government is stuck on his remuneration, and federation officials have said that Hockey India will bear his salary until then. A first half penalty earned Lille a shocking 1-0 home victory over holder Real Madrid in the Champions League group phase on Wednesday, ending Real's 14-game unbeaten run in the competition. Jonathan David converted a penalty 3 minutes into first half stoppage time to hand Real its first defeat since January. Real had not lost a single match in their previous 36 matches in all the competitions. The result put League One side Lille on 3 points from 2 games in the new format of Europe's premier club competition. Real won its opening match against VfB Stuttgart and currently has 3 points. John Duran's late goal secured Aston Villa a famous 1-0 win over Bayern Munich in Champions League at Villa Park. The in-form striker came off the bench, lighting up Villa Park, ending the German Giants' 41-match unbeaten streak in the group stage. This historic win at Villa Park marked Aston Villa's triumphant return to Europe's elite competition after a 41-year absence. A dramatic save by Emiliano Martinez from Harry Kane in the final moments ensured that Aston Villa kept the 1-goal lead and secured the remarkable win. Benfica thrashed Atletico Madrid 4-0 in the Champions League to start their campaign with 2 consecutive wins. Aktürkoğlu opened the scoring in the 13th minute. The hosts threw away several chances and committed errors, costing them a penalty, which Di Maria converted. Bar extended its lead with a header from a corner in the 75th minute, and Koksu sealed the deal for his team, securing victory by a huge margin. Despite some high-profile signings, Atletico suffered a humiliating defeat, finishing the match with no shots on target. Aliou Cissé ended a successful 9-year spell in charge of Senegal as he will not have his contract renewed. His tenure included a first Africa Cup of Nations title and 2 World Cup qualifications for Senegal. Cissé had been under increasing pressure after the team's surprise last 16 exit at the 2023 Cup of Nations when they lost on penalties to hosts Ivory Coast. The side are unbeaten in 6 matches since then, but home draws with the Democratic Republic of Congo and Burkina Faso and criticism from certain quarters of their style of play made up the mind of the country's sports ministry that a change was needed. As the climate continues to warm due to the effect of man-made emissions and typhoons and rains become more and more frequent and devastating, cities across the world are facing a daunting task to prevent flooding. Tokyo has a unique solution to this niggling problem. Let's find out what.
Trust Japan to find a solution to even most complex puzzles. And with nature's fury striking the island nation in more ways than one, Japan has spearheaded the technological and infrastructural efforts to counter the challenge. Now with climate change, it faces the daunting task of managing flooding due to typhoons and torrential rains. And what is the solution the land of the rising sun is working out? Digging a huge tunnel to hold the water until the danger subsides. Deep below the streets of Tokyo, a colossal tunneling machine has ground a path through the earth. Over 13 meters wide, the shield tunneling machine lays concrete walls as it goes, leaving behind a 4.5-kilometer tunnel designed to capture vast quantities of rain that might otherwise flood the homes above. Tokyo already boasts an extensive system of tunnels, drainage channels, and storage cisterns. But Japan is coping with unprecedented weather due to climate change, forcing it to dig once more. Inside are 59 massive pillars, each weighing 500 tons and stretching 18 meters to the ceiling. When nearby rivers flood, the overflow courses through 6.3 kilometers of massive underground tunnels before collecting in the underground cathedral, officially known as the Metropolitan Outer Area Underground Discharge Channel. During Typhoon Shanshan, It captured vast amount of water that would have otherwise wreaked havoc in the city before pumping it safely into the Idogawa River and out to the sea. The cavernous expanse has enough volume to fit almost 100 Olympic-size swimming pools of water. Over $1.03 billion in damage has been mitigated since the complex was built 23 years ago. Bureau Report, DD India.
All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. Bart, let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us at in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.